coach and a therapist in that sport for the past 13 years. I've been acting on it to help them achieve their goals. But now the podcast is even extenuating on that, and I'm able to. So the first 3 episodes, and then there will always be a weave of the para-excellence component throughout my entire podcasting journey, because these guys have so much value to offer. They have amazing stories, but the ripple effect of their lives is phenomenal and very immeasurable too. So, the first few episodes start with that, and then there's some amazing para-athletes. And you're talking about, episode 3 with Scotty Reardon. He lost his leg on a farming accident at the age of 12, almost lost his life in the same time, and for him to turn around and become world champion in 2 different sports, and the ripple effect he's having on the legacy he's building out into Mora through the support through a mental health organisation. And Katrina Webb, episode 1, she's got cerebral palsy, and she talks about hiding from that and how that affected her at a young age. But now she's trekked the Mount Everest base camp a couple of times and raised close to $100,000 for Child Reach Nepal after the earthquakes. And just the things that these guys are doing. Kurt Fernley, he's got no legs and he's crawled the Kokoda Trail, 96-kilometre Kokoda Trail. Things like that these guys are elite athletes, but beyond that, they are making a huge impact in the world. And so they've got inspiring stories. What I actually try to weed out and what interests me the most in the world is human behaviour. So it's all about mindset. I say the most powerful thing in the world is the human mind, and we all have one. So why not try, I don't even like the word try, why not invest into making that piece of art inside your head the best version that it can be? And so you can do that from learning from other people's stories and not just be inspired by their stories, but I ask everyone in every episode, what's one piece of advice on specific action that the listeners can take home today? Because it's one thing, it's like the saying that it's not, knowledge is power. People usually say knowledge is power, but that's wrong. It's applied knowledge is power, because we can learn, we can read, we can listen, we can do all the courses under the sun, but unless we apply what we actually learn, we're not actually making a difference. So that's why I want people to listen to the podcast and, yes, be inspired by it. Inspiration is just the first of a cascade of trickling effects within the body. And then with that inspiration, here's some actionable tips that you can actually implement now to help make positive change in your life.
Yes. That's so true, though. I always, it's good that you're here, mate. I don't know if you can feel it off me. I feel like I had my ass kicked last night. Like I had a great gig at a surf club not far away. And it's just a little gig, right? I'm not going to talk about the music, but I had a... Funny, the staff there, I know they've been working there for more than 10 years, and this is paradise. I'm not going to say the name of the place, but you couldn't find a better looking view. Work is work, I understand that. These people have been working in this surf club for a million years, and I've seen them forever. And they were just this. A lot of the bosses and everything were just reeking of like, just get out, everyone get out. Like, I can't wait for the time to be over tonight, so you can all just go home and see. And someone said a little jibe on the way out last night. It was like midnight. It sort of upset me so much that this morning I'm feeling horrible. I went, yeah, Brett Robbo's coming in. I know you're going to boost me. Because these are, I've done a lot of podcasts, so you speak to a lot of people with adversity as well. And to see able-bodied, grown people working in, imagine if you lived in London right now and someone said, hey, you want to work in a surf club? You want to run a bar in the most beautiful looking place that you can actually think of, and, could you at least put a smile on your face? Yeah, of course I could. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where I'm going with this conversation, mate, but
I know where I can take it, because with that, so this is a prime example of mindset and how we can control.
Just don't touch my knee under the table.
Yeah, was that me touching yours or you touching mine?
Get close.
Sorry, I'll turn on
I'm feeling your power.
That's osmosis at its best right there. So you just raised something. So you felt that vibe.
I need to plug it in. That's yours. No, the battery.
I don't know if he's going to edit this out or not, but I thought I'll just have a chat. He's just run downstairs, so this is Brett Robbo on his own, just taking over the show. I'm opening up a bottle of Koala Karma that he's offered me, which is a caffeine-free relaxation drink, actually. And when I was here 6 weeks ago, I bought one with me, and this time around I haven't, but he's provided one. So I'm just going to enjoy a mouthful of that and look at the amazing artwork in this room while he's gone. We can see some pictures of a lot of bodies. I'm just having a chat with your audience, mate. I don't know if you're going to cut this out or not, but...
What have we done here? We have to sacrifice a light.
I don't mind sitting in the dark.
That was lucky 4%. We're back.
We're on.
Yeah.
So what I was saying is you feel like you've been kicked in the butt, and there was that you felt the energy or the lack of energy from those staff, and that's you've taken that with you. So here we start to dive into perception, and so you know that they're not feeling great. They just want to get rid of finish their night, get out of their job, things like that. You've actually taken that poor energy on board, which is what a lot of human beings do. But what you actually need to do is understand that that's not helpful to you. So you need to understand when your thoughts and feelings and your energy, whether they're helpful or unhelpful. So I don't like to say positive or negative because the connotations around that are quite distracting. So you just think helpful or unhelpful. And what do I mean by that? If you've got goals and visions, you need to measure your energy, your thought processes, your perception in line with whether they're actually helpful or unhelpful to take you in the direction of your goals and visions. So you're now hovering in a space and you said you're feeling flat and everything because of that, and you're taking that energy. So you weigh it up and say, well, actually, yeah, that happened. I acknowledge that. But is that helpful for me to keep working in the direction of my goals and visions? No, it's not. So, all right, I acknowledge that they're there, but let's concentrate. Let's re-energize. Let's concentrate on the thoughts and the perceptions that will take me towards, that are helpful taking me towards that.
Because I've thought about going to Twitter, and you know what I mean, in this funny social media. I've thought about being unhelpful all morning, being negative.
And you know what that is? That's reaction as opposed to response. So this is another problem in society with human beings is when something like that happens and then you react. So it means what you're doing by reacting is you're not letting it get through your filtering system within your mind. You're not actually weighing up the perceptions and taking it into account of what it means. You're reacting. So you're just throwing it back out there at the universe. When we respond as opposed to react, what we've done is let it filter through. We've weighed it up, and then we weigh up our response against whether that's helpful or unhelpful as well. So your reaction, would that be helpful to take you towards your goals? No, not that I know what your goals and visions are, but exactly, it makes it worse. So then all of a sudden, that's the trickling effect into regret, right?
Yeah,
so
instant regret. Social media regret.
Yes,
is there anything worse?
Yeah, and so reaction leads to regret, and then it's not to say that you can't get out of that, but why not? If we learn, and this goes back to me saying about the human brain being the most powerful thing, so if we can just learn some processes that we can take with us, all of a sudden, if you go, hang on, let me use my filtering system to filter this information to work out, okay, I'm not going to react to it, I'm going to respond. What kind of response am I going to do? I'm just going to change my perception, or I'm going to understand that that's other people's perception, and I'm going to concentrate on my goals and visions and what's helpful to take me there. Bang, let's jump on board with that. Let's attach to that. Not attach to the negative connotations and the negative moods, the negative thoughts that other people are putting out there.
Beautiful. See what I mean?
And this is coaching. This is... some people call it therapy, some people call it coaching, life coaching. I call it mentoring, because my thing, and this is part of what I put out through the podcast too, these are the kind of messages, without actually directly saying it, if you can understand human behaviour, you can hear that come through from these inspirational and influential humans, because they're deciphering and they're making choices in life, and they're telling parts of their story, and they're telling why they're creating, like Kurt Fernley has a school in Africa for disabled kids. Why? Because he cares about disability and he understands the inadequacies over there, so he knows that he can make a difference. So he's just making these choices without all in line with his goals and visions and his core values at the same time. So that's the messages that will subliminally come across in my podcast.
Beautiful.
So I hope that I've helped to shift your perception of last night.
Well, you're right. I actually said to my co-partner in the thing we do, forget about that. The goal is Versace. Here we are at a place I love. That's what sort of kicked me in the guts a bit. But But yeah, the goal is the top of the town all the time, you know, like, so just, even though this is great, these, you know, it's more like a feeling of, oh, they're ruining it for tourists and whatnot, just by being in a great place and having down, you know.
See, and that's a reflection of your values. So you care that they made you feel like that, and the reason that it made you feel flat is because you care about the people that you're playing for. It's not just how you feel. It's like, well, God, if the owners here in a place that I love, that I know really well, are making me feel like this, imagine how the guests feel. Imagine how the people that have come here to have a good time, imagine how they feel. They just feel like they're getting kicked out on the street. So that's a reflection of what your values are as a person. And also, one of the things that I like to say to people is, regardless of what happens in life, nothing ever happens to you. It only ever happens for you. People get into a mentality that when something happens, oh, it happened to me. But reverse that and say it happened for you. And that's in any situation in life. So you think about some of the para-athletes that I've spoken about that have almost lost their lives or have lived their life in a wheelchair, or even other humans that have faced massive adversity in their lives. Yes, go through the grieving period. It's important for a week or two. Don't feel sorry for yourself, but ride the emotions that come with grief. And then make a choice to say, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. What am I learning from this? How am I going to learn, grow, and develop from this situation so that I can be a better version of myself, and then I can help other people be a better version of themselves? So in a smaller scale, for you, this didn't happen to you, it happened for you. And maybe it's to raise this conversation and for us to work through it. Or maybe it's the conversations that you have after this to make sure that it didn't affect the people that you care about and that you value.
I'm just thinking right now about you know, the athletes you deal with every day. They have families, okay? Imagine the a tragedy, let's say the tractor accident.
Yes.
Was that? Yeah? The tractor accident happened to
Scotty Reardon.
I'm sure Scotty was devastated for a period of time. His family were horrified and you know, the world stopped. There was this horrible moment. I'm sure it happens to all these people. But think of how great, when Scotty decided, click, you know, something clicked in his mind, I can be a great athlete. I can, you know, I divert my attention to something else. I'm not that person anymore. That happened for this reason, yeah? And how great that would have affected the family. He's doing what? He's going to Germany, or, you know, like how beautiful is that? You know,
the ripple effect there is amazing. And you're right, because he's amazing. Like, his mindset of resilience is amazing. And for people, like, if people listen to that episode number 3, you'll be blown away of how quickly he turned himself around, and then his journey beyond that. And another example is his girlfriend, actually, who's a double amputee. She was 16 years old, run over by a train and chopped both her legs off instantly, almost lost her life, months in hospital, things like that. Can you imagine her family's ripple effect? Yeah. I have interviewed her on episode number 5, and I actually asked her, how did your family feel about that? And we went down that rabbit hole, because that's an area that people, like, you're a parent, so you would understand. Something tragic happens to a child,
and your
imagine
daughter,
how the
your
family
beautiful
feels.
daughter and her legs, you know, because you have this big view of what she thinks she is.
Yes.
You're the parent. You've got this, well, she's the princess, and, you know, her legs are everything. Her looks are, you know.
And she was age 16, so imagine being first 16 years of your life as an able-bodied person, and then that tragedy happens.
Right.
But you just talk to them and you hear them say, they hate pity. You know, there's no room for pity for anyone, let alone in those situations. And she said that she didn't like it when she started to get back out in society and be treated like a raw egg, and, you know, you had to be careful around her and things like that. She said, I didn't like that. I was still the same person up here. I just had to learn how to walk again on prosthetic legs. I just had to learn a few different things. Yeah. And you can see, like, that's just part of the journey and part of what I've been around and inspired by. But adversity is something that I work a lot around, and from those kind of experiences, but also adversity in my own life and working through that. And I think that's what you were alluding to earlier in the chat that we got to last time. And I think it's important for me to speak about it, because that's what's, in the last 2.5 years, that's what's completely shifted my mindset and taken me on this trajectory. And so I mentioned that I grew up in Cobar out in Western New South Wales.